All right, welcome back to another round of the League That Means Nothing, folks. This is Tommy Fresh on the mics, and I'm going to be rocking this one solo this week because, hey, listen, I saw a Riptide versus Betsy match, and I got so excited I need to hop on the computer right now to watch this and commentate it for you all. We have Aaron Francis, a.k.a. Az, going up against Pascal Weiler. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. See, Riptide can typically have some difficult matchups against the likes of the Guardian, which, you know, Betsy happens to be one of those Guardians. But Betsy does do a lot of things that might trigger Riptide's traps. Now, what are those things? Well, mostly giving buffs to her attacks, via her ability, probably some reaction-based shenanigans going as well. And you know what? We're off to the races already. We have Aaron throwing a Remorseless right into Arsenal. Listen, Az is known for playing a little deck called Azalea, and we're looking at Az playing Riptide, which is a little bit crazy. He did reach out to me when he decided that he wanted to mess around with Riptide, and I was like, listen, it's an awesome deck. You're gonna have a lot of fun. Pascal blocking right away, saying, it's first turn. I don't want to get pinged by Remorseless. I don't think you have any tricks. Let's just pass it back. Now, this is going to be interesting because we have Rouse the Ancients revealing Bet Big and another Guardian attack. So definitely hitting on the Rouse the Ancients, coming in for 7 go again. This will trigger the go again traps, the buff traps. So we'll see if Az has anything here. Rouse the Ancients, funny enough, a generic attack, but really finding its home in Guardian decks. Mostly because it's a blue and can usually get the ability to go wide here. And we did see another blue in Pascal's hand, so likely the follow-up here is Titan's Fist for 4, which is a great turn, and they get the Arsenal at Bet Big. And here is the Inertia Trap. Just kidding about the Arsenaling, because this is going to trigger, it's going to ping Pascal for 1, and Pascal is going to get a Inertia token. That will make... the turn still goes the same here because Pascal's still going to attack with the hammer, but doesn't get the option to Arsenal whatever they want, which we know is a Bet Big. I guess it's up to Az if he wants to take the rest of the 4. Coming in from the Rouse, which... Pascal getting some of his own tokens. Very cool. Nice little glare there, but I'm assuming that's a Inertia token. This is interesting. Based on what's happening here, yes, there is a sink below, covering it up completely, which is awesome to see. And just kind of knowing what's happening. Oh, this is a nice thing here that Pascal's able to pitch that red Bet Big for tectonic plating, get a Seismic Surge, and then send the old Titan's Fist for 4. Funny enough, a lot of people think of Anathos as the iconic weapon for Guardian, but I always look at Titan's Fist as kind of the what would you even call it? I would say the landmark. No, not landmark. This league means nothing. It's late at night for me right now, but it is kind of what I would look at as the go-to Guardian weapon now, right? We just saw the Terra weapon from the First Strike deck, very similar effect. Just a nice 3 for 4, but needs some help, right? Especially in the pitch zone. So here we have Enlightened Strike with Go again, something in Arsenal, which very well could be a Codex or just an arrow for 4. Pascal says, here's the civic steps and a CNC. And it is just a drill shot for 4 with Go again. Pascal says, you know what? I don't want you to get value out of that drill shot. I'm going to just give you the armor anyway. And we're going to say, go ahead. Hopefully the quicken goes away. It's got a funny picture on it. The quicken is staying. It shouldn't stay because the drill shot did attack, but this league does mean nothing. Here comes the seismic surge popping. And an E-strike for 7. Seismic surge not really doing much here other than popping and going away. Now, Az is throwing out the spike pit trap, saying, I'm not really going to wait for you to do any shenanigans here with your reactions, but I'm going to just use this to block 3. And then we see it also load a tripwire trap, which is coming in to block it fully. And there might be a situation here where Pascal should be taking a damage because it did trigger. Yes, we saw it happen. And fun thing to note, and this might come up later in the game, that the crew traps always trigger. And when I say crew traps, the traps that are from Crucible of War. The quicken's gone, so maybe they realized that mistake there. And we see a CNC coming in. Classic card here. Pitching a pitfall trap there as well, which is going to be useful later in the game. Pascal says, I want to keep my arsenal. I'm going to block. I am a guardian. I can do the blocking quite well. Here we go. Activating tectonic plating and sending Titan's Fist. Something I imagine we're going to see quite a bit of in this game. Now, what Betsy's really missing, in my opinion, is, well, her signature weapon. We don't know what it is. I mean, she's got like holding like a giant pole or like a pillar, I guess, in the art. So I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be it, but man, it would be really cool to see that. Frailty trap coming down, not triggering here, but just blocking 3. As also gave the Arcanite Skullcap, which used to be the best headpiece in the game, and now, I mean, this is the first time I've seen it played in a hot minute. Love to see it, though. Iconic card, really, for all the flesh and blood boomers out there. And here's yet another E-strike. It's just E-strike shenanigans going on here. Here's Go again. Is Az going to load? I would say, if you're doing Go again, obviously something's coming after. I would just load anyway, personally. And the reason is because if it's a codex, you're kind of showing them that it's a codex if you don't load it, right? So you want to make them think that it's not a codex and just a 0 for 4 arrow. And it is the codex. Which, not sure what Az grabbed there. We'll see in a second here. Az going to be a ponder token. Pascal's getting a frailty. And it is drill shot. With Go again from the quicken. And unfortunately, Pascal played Sink Blow on it. That was not a legal play. And that's because Dreadbore is on the field. Dreadbore is a static ability that says arrows you control have defense reactions can't be played on this chain link from hand. I think that's the wording. So this league means nothing, and there's going to be a lot of sloppiness here, which is totally fine. That's why we watch this. It's a lot of fun. And I'm here to be I'm the police. I'm the judge from the past, the future, something like that. But either way, we're seeing a choke slam here coming down for 8, which now this is a pretty good crush effect against Riptide in most situations. It does seem like Az is on a little bit more of the grindy, not really like playing a lot of pumps version of the deck. So the crush effect here isn't as brutal. Now, we've been playing this game for quite some time now. I forget what turn we're on, but the life total is still 38-36. As in the tank, as says, my perch grapplers, I'm sick and tired of having them. I'm going to block with them. And they do have blade break. So they're going to be breaking. And we see Pitfall Trap from the Arsenal, which is going to deal 3 full damage to Pascal because, well, no cards in hand, no resources. As does take 2 there, I believe. And no, 3 there. So no crush effect. Riptide doing Riptide things. We haven't really seen Betsy do a Betsy thing yet. This is just kind of felt like a Bravo game so far, but I do have faith that we're going to see something. Here is Scar for a Scar with Go Again coming out of hand. Will Az load with that since it is played from hand is the real question. Scar for a Scar, a beast in decks that start with lower life totals, a lot like Riptide. We saw it a lot in Icelander. And with Ocilio coming out, I imagine we might even see a little bit of Scar for Scar action in Ocilio as well. It's just a classic card featuring Ira, I believe, on the art. And Az does choose to load. So now the ball is in Pascal's court here. And Pascal's saying, take 4. I don't want you to go Scar for a Scar again. And we are seeing Murky Water. Holy smokes. Such a cool card. We already have some traps in the bin. So, Az is threatening some traps coming back. And, well, Pascal just says, I don't want you to have that. Az thinking for a hot second. The only thing that Az could do right there probably would be Rain Razors. Now, the arm piece that Guardian has there can hurt the Rain Razors, but it is a trigger that goes on stack, so you can play the Rain Razors in response to that trigger, so that you get the full 2 points of extra damage. Oh, now we're wagering. Here's Wage Gold. And Betsy's going to overpower. So Wage Gold goes up to 8. And it just has overpower, right? I think that's all we're really seeing here. And the gold is being wagered. Gold just a great thing to have, to be honest, right? And I think Riptide doesn't mind having it either, especially this build probably has a little bit more resources. Gold's such a good, just like it fixes your hand a lot of times. In a way, if you pitch a blue to do it and you draw another blue, you basically ramped a whole resource. So this is a probably a interesting proposition. Now, Az does need to have more than enough blocks. So he can only block with 1 action card here. But luckily for Riptide, plays a lot of defense reactions, which get around overpower. Doesn't get around dominate like you'd hope, but overpower certainly is a great way to, or reactions are a great way to mitigate the overpower effect. As is in the tank. I feel like if he had the play, he would have made it, but we'll see. This would be the part in like the pro tour. It's like, oh, it looks like they're just having a discussion with the judge right now, clear up some stuff. But this is not the pro tours. This is the league that means nothing. So, and what a beautiful day it is here in where's this tournament being played? Let's say Reykjavik, Iceland. What a beautiful day it is here in Reykjavik, Iceland. They have about 20 hours of daylight this time of year. Pretty impressive. So here we have the long draw half glove and boulder trap coming in to block 4 total, dealing a damage to Pascal, putting a -1 counter on something. Chose to do it on the gauntlets. Now, I think tectonic plating might have been the choice there, but and as takes the damage, lets Betsy get the wager off. So Betsy has a gold now. Now, it's not quite as dangerous for Betsy to have the gold like maybe a Victor would, but it is still just good to have. There's other fun things you can do in this deck with gold. Now, what's Az's response? Life totals are pretty much the same. A lot of cards in both graveyards. Another scar for a scar. Now we see why Az was thinking for a hot second there. Pascal says, I'll take it. If I see that, I'm automatically thinking, you know what? I think a bet big's coming here. Here's a Sigil of Solace as saying, I'll go back up into the 30s. And an Endless Arrow. Such a great arrow, just in general, but like in this situation now, I would have liked to have seen, no cards in hand because, if this hits, which it does, it comes back and you get the arsenal no matter what if you had no cards in hand. But since Az did have 1 card left, it's possible that might have influenced Pascal's decision there. Oh, we're seeing Good Time Chapeau. Actually, I forgot that Good Time Chapeau does the wager thing with gold. So that's a totally huge reason as to why Betsy wants the gold. And we're seeing a thump. A thump. Wow. Coming in for 7. Wagering. All the things. Has dominate. And overpower, I'm sure. I'm not exactly sure here. Might just be dominate. But thump, a classic card from Tales of Aria. If its attack is greater than its base attack, it has dominate. And when it hits a hero, they discard a card. As thinking, well, I would really like to not do this, but as just taking the damage, discarding Remorseless, and Pascal gets all the tokens there, which I believe, if I am not mistaken, is a Might and a Vigor. It's a little shiny. Light of Solana shining upon Pascal's board state there. Funny enough, that Marvel Betsy kind of blends in with the Sink Below playmat. Funny enough. Oh, here's a Buzzsaw Trap activating the Quiver of Abyssal Depths. Quite interestingly. Now, the Buzzsaw Trap technically would have brought the thump down, and maybe Az missed that. It would have dealt 1 damage, brought the thump down, and made it so it didn't have dominate anymore as well. And the on hit would have disappeared. So totally fine. Quiver's being activated. Keep some cards in deck. Still have an efficient turn. Az is still ahead on life, which is good to see. And here is another Endless Arrow. Not sure what Az has in hand. And the Endless Arrow is coming back. I mean, listen, if anything, it's an efficient way to keep cards in your deck. Yeah, so it was a Vigor and a Might. And this is a Money Where Your Mouth Is. Next attack this turn gets +3, and when this attacks a hero, you may wager a gold token. So good in Betsy. Wagering on a choke slam. And I have to imagine Betsy's going to get activated here. Yes. So an additional plus here. So I believe it's coming in for 13 with Overpower and Crush. Threatening a gold, which we saw with the Good Time Chapeau. Quite the potent piece of weaponry for Betsy to use. As well, has some decisions to make here, because while Az is ahead on life, 13 is no joke, and also all of the potential bonuses are pretty devastating, I think, at this point in the game. So Az needs to make a pretty tough decision here. Although it's funny, every time I've said that, like, oh, he's got to make a really tough decision, and then he just takes it all, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, he just took it all. So, you know, we'll see if that's the case again. Beautiful Reykjavik, Iceland. Just so cool. Some of the best hot dogs I've ever had in my life in Iceland. Just so good. I did have the fermented shark. That was also pretty brutal. Stunk up the whole Airbnb, I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that for free, folks. Az still thinking about what he's going to do about this big old wagered choke slam with Overpower. It's possible he's weighing how much does this league mean, if anything at all, perhaps nothing. So we're seeing a battering bolt come down, a tar pit trap come down. So still able to block with more traps, but it might just be, so that would block 6 of the 13. Still take 7. The crush effect would be online, and we're at life parity here, folks. 18 to 18. A gold in Pascal's arena. An Arsenal still. What can Az do to kind of slap back here? At this point, I feel like Riptide, you know, if you're going to play this controlling version of the game, you know, it's tough when you get to a life parity that's like below 20, right? So you got to start thinking about, how am I going to push some serious damage? And here we have the Endless Arrow again, but this time the card in Arsenal was trenched away to use that resource to do Dreadbore. Should be coming in for 5, but I believe it was blocked out anyway because of the tectonic plating. And here we go, folks. Good Time Chapeau yet again with the thump. Wagering. This is exactly what I would have been afraid of this whole time. It was brutal last time. It's brutal this time. So now threatening a might and a vigor yet again. Interesting enough, though. I mean, if Az can find a way to deal with this dominate, Az would get the might and vigor token, and that would be so clutch if they can be used effectively. Az really needs something to be in Arsenal here. Although you do have the option, right? You can trench away whatever is in Arsenal if it's not like a D-React. You can D-React from hand, load with Riptide's ability, throw another D-React in Arsenal, and then throw that out as well. Hopefully one of them blocking for 4, i.e. The Tripwire Trap or Sink Below or Fate Foreseen. As yet again, taking 7, letting Pascal have the might and the vigor, and Az should be discarding a card as well. Discarding a battering bolt. So here we have the third Scar for a Scar. I mean, totally a valid situation here to take some damage, to go a little wide. And this is something that, we were talking about a couple turns ago. It's like, how is Az going to push enough damage, enough cards out of hand? And it's going wide, right? So sure, Pascal doesn't care about the blank damage from the Scar for Scar, the vanilla damage. Now, interesting enough, we're seeing a Murky Water with a Premeditate on top. Now, this is going to be interesting. Pascal's saying, I'm going to take this as well. Also, fun tip for Az, because I know you'll be watching. If you played the Premeditate first, the Scar for a Scar would have given you the Ponder, and you still would have gotten the buff on the Murky Water, because the next time an attack hits, you get the Ponder. So it's a nice little sequencing thing you can do in Riptide. And now we have the traps are returned. We don't know which one, because they stay face down. The Ponder happening anyways is not that important right now, because, well, Az already has a Arsenal. Now, something devastating right now would be a Command and Conquer, right? So Pascal's starting with 1 resource and a might. So this is going to be wagered, and I have to imagine activated with Betsy. Maybe not. If that's the case, it definitely is threatening something else, because Pascal has cards in hand. And the might is being wagered. I'm not sure if we saw any pummels get pitched or anything like that, but I mean, this doesn't have go again, so something's coming over the top here with this attack. Otherwise, Pascal would have blocked, maybe. And there is the pummel. Pushing it to 12. This would be lethal if Az does not defend at all. So here we go with a Boulder Trap. It's going to put Pascal to 4. So Az is not dead. And another Boulder Trap puts Pascal to 3. Chapeau is dealt with. Does Az have any more traps here? The Buzzsaw Trap would go crazy right now. And unfortunately, Az going to have to discard here. Goes to 5 to Pascal's 3. Pascal's still holding on to a Arsenal card here, so it's very scary. And Pascal wins the wager as well. No, to note. Going to be interesting to see what Az does here because he didn't load with that second boulder trap. He could have loaded that a 0 for 4, something like that, force some blocks, but perhaps it does not matter. We're just sending in the Endless Arrow, which is quite good right now. Pascal snap blocking it twice. You know what? I don't want to mess with that anymore. I can win with 2 cards in hand and an arsenal, I believe. Making a Seismic Surge. And then coming in with CNC for 7 with the Might. This is the interesting thing, and I've experienced this many times before playing Riptide. If you're stuck with a lot of D-Reacts, it's no bueno. But as blocking all of it, quite interestingly, giving up the trench. Now, it's totally valid to save some life here, but you didn't have an arsenal, so you didn't have to worry about anything getting blown up. Still 2 cards in hand. We'll see what those cards are. And as just arsenals and passes, and that says to me, as had at least 1 D-React in hand. And here we go. Oh my God, it's a Pulverize. That's what was hanging out in that arsenal. So we have 14 damage coming Az's way. Now, this has no kind of evasion. So that Az can block this however he wants. Notably, I don't think Pascal has any resources left. So if there's a Pitfall Trap in Arsenal, that would kill Pascal. That would deal 3 damage. There is a world where this could end it, but I don't think that that's the case here. At a minimum, Az should be able to block with a couple cards here to try and live. Facing down 14, you got to block at least 10. Just a matter of, well, how's Az going to do it? Still in the tank. Checking on the judge. Judge says, this league means nothing. Don't even worry about it. It's a tough decision here because Az also needs to come up with a way to win, right? Because right now you have to try not to lose. But if you give up a whole turn here, that gives Pascal the opportunity to set up again, send something big, and then you're just on the back foot for the rest of the game until Pascal's able to just push something through. So, all that being said, Az needs to take all of that into consideration here. And Pulverize is making it a very difficult decision, no doubt. And for those of you who don't know, when Pulverize hits the first attack during their next turn, it's -4. So here we see passing on blocks, going straight to reactions. Here's a Sink Below and a Frailty Trap. And so that's blocking 7 already. What was drawn? And then there's a Collapsing Trap and a Tar Pit Trap. So that is blocking 13 of the 14. Az will take 1 and likely not attack this turn. As probably saying, I need that tar pit trap to trigger there, because that would be nice to not have a -4 on my first attack. But just passes away and says, oh, we're going to try to set up for the next turn. Throw that in Arsenal. Seeing. Oof, wage gold. Wagered. Likely activating Betsy as well with the Seismic Surge. What a great turn. This is like probably the coolest thing about Betsy, right? That you can do these attacks, get a lot of value, and still offer. I mean, well, I guess Betsy's not doing the overpowered thing, so we are looking. I mean, this is quite obviously staring down the barrel of another pummel. And I'm sure Az recognizes this. Why wouldn't you spend the 2 resources on Betsy's ability? Well, I want to win, Pascal says. So we'll see if this is enough to do it. We are blocking. I can't exactly see. There's a death touch. 2, 3 blocks, so maybe that's 8. That's blocking it out currently. And just another trap would, I think, cover up this pummel. Coming in for 11 now. So if that's a trap, it is. And it is an inertia trap, which will deal 1 damage. Very important. And give an inertia token. Very interesting. And Az does get the gold. I was just making sure that he was grabbing it there. Az just drawing up. Makes you wonder what's in that arsenal. Seismic Surge pops. Here is Macho Grande. 8 dominate. No resources floating. But 1 card in hand, so Pitfall Trap is not lethal here, but Az has to find a way to block at least 5 of this. If that arsenal is still a trap, Az should be okay. But since Trench is gone, you can't trench that away. Whatever it is. Becoming a very tense moment here. Seeing a lot of card shuffling in the shadows of Az's playmat. And it was an E-Strike. Holy smokes. Such a brutal card to have in the arsenal there at the end, especially with no trench. Man, Pascal takes it. Betsy takes a win against Riptide here. And holy smokes, a lot of ups and downs there, but this means nothing in the end of the day. So I guess we got to keep that in mind. We do have a winner. Thank you all for watching. I've been Tommy Fresh. Check out Fresh and Buds, all that fun stuff. And make sure you subscribe to Az and his channel and this awesome league that he's doing. You're all the best. Thank you so much. Thank you, Az. Thank you, Pascal. It was a ton of fun to commentate on this banger of a match. Thank you.